So, uh, so all throughout the semester, we've been building this application together, where you have service providers being able to advertise their services to potential customers, and we have several use cases, right? Well, several users and actors that the service providers themselves who can create the services and answer several questions based on those services. You know, if they're walking dogs, or they're cleaning houses, or they're plumbers, whatnot. Each one will have different questions that they have to answer, so that we can then search for these search providers based on our own criteria as clients. And so we've broken up into multiple teams where different teams were working on different features. Last week we had worked on with functional testing. We had worked on several algorithms. For each team had worked on several algorithms that we had to create unit tests for. So we're gonna keep building on that. What we've been working for the last couple weeks. Let's see. We have broken it out into 3 teams per organization, and the first team had to work on these use case where administrators managed service providers and the relationship between services and service categories, right? So be able to say that a particular service was in a particular category, right? A photographer is in weddings, or if you're making cakes, you're also in weddings. So there's categories. So a team was working on that, being able to create that relationship, right? Being able to create services, being able to add them to the right category. Also being able to manage the relationship between a particular provider and those services, being able to say that all these people provide all these services, right? So we talk about how to implement many-to-many relationships between a provider being able to provide many services and a service being able to being provided by multiple folks. So that was team 1. So we're gonna keep the same layout that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Team 2 was working on the frequently asked questions that all providers need to answer. How many years have you been in business, and how many folks are in your company, and what was your favorite engagement and whatnot. So we need to be able to manage these questions, and folks need to be able to providers need to be able to answer those questions, and then clients, as they're comparing one service provider from another, they can compare them through these answers. So team 2 was focusing on that. So we're gonna maintain that for the next sprint. Team 3 worked on being able to manage service-specific questions, right? So again, if you're cleaning houses, the question might be, how big a house are you willing to clean? How many rooms? How many square feet? So those are questions specific to that service that you're providing. And similar, if you're walking dogs, then the questions would be different, right? So again, team 3 was working on that, being able to manage those questions, the answers, make sure that nobody answered anything inappropriate. Right. So we're gonna maintain this for the ongoing for this assignment. About a sprint ago, we had you each team member choose to work on a particular screen, on a particular view. I believe we gave you choice to either work on summary views or details views, right? And summary views basically were a way to list any number of providers, categories, questions, FAQs, right? Be able to list all of them, right? I have a wireframe from last time. Something like that, right? Where we had all sorts of lists. And I think I gave you a starting code, and I think most of you were able to work through this. So every one of you might have chosen to work on a particular summary screen, and some of you did instead choose to work on some detail screens, and that looked something like this, where it was just a form where you were able to just list or choose a particular record stored in the database. So we're gonna go back to this, right? Because in the previous sprint we only implemented a read-only view, right? Where the summary view just listed all the categories, all the providers, all the users, right? All the clients, all the whatever, right? And also in the form, also was only a read only. So this for the next for this sprint that's going to start today, we're going to revisit this, but we're going to add a couple more features, right? For instance, we're going to add capabilities of being able to do CRUD, right? Create, read, update, and delete. Although we've done already read. So we'll add a couple more features to these, right? So here I have a list of the different requirements for the different views that you might have worked on a week ago. So for the summary view, about a sprint ago, we just built a read-only version of the summary view. So for this sprint, we're going to add a couple more requirements. So for instance, we're going to need to add the capability of being able to do all sorts of CRUD operations. And I see that some of you came to me today and last week that looked like some of you have already started on this, even though I had not released this, which is great. If you're already working on this, that's awesome. And so for instance, in the CRUD requirements, we're going to have to be able to select a particular record, and be able to edit that record, be able to delete that record, be able to so create brand new records, read records, update them, and delete them. So these are listed here. Some other requirements, we're going to add the capability of being able to filter. So since this might be potentially an extremely long view, we need to be able to filter them, right? So we're going to add a couple of filtering fields at the top and be able to choose. I only want categories that start with a particular string or someone that has a particular role. So we'll add some search filters at the top. Another feature that we're going to add is being able to paginate the list. Again, it could be potentially long, and we should be able to say that we want to consume them 10 at a time, or 50 at a time, or 100 at a time, and be able to paginate it, be able to jump a couple pages forward, a couple pages backwards. So I have wireframes for that, which I just a sneak preview. Right. So again, this looks almost what we built on a couple of sprints ago. In that sprint, it just listed the records, each one per row. So we're going to add a couple things here. So we're going to add a couple of input fields at the top so that we can filter. Yes? The requests?
Yes, get the data. Because you can still have a view that paginated.
Yeah, so ideally this would be on the server. So you would provide a query to the server and say, I want page 3.
Okay.
Right? And otherwise, if you do the pagination on the client, you would have to download thousands of records. Right, and then just go one at a time. So it would be very, very chatty. You'd be throwing away. You would be doing lots of work that you don't really need. Right? So it could be hundreds of pages, right? Yeah. So ideally, this would be on the server. So we're gonna add the filter. So the filter also will be on the server, right? Notice there's a magnifying glass at the bottom. So as you type. When you click on the search, it'll send a post with a search, and we'll come back with the records that match this criteria. This will toggle, so you can clear out the search, right? So it goes back to where you were before you did the search. A couple of things that we're going to add here is being able to edit a record. So you can click on a record. It'll go fetch the record from the server. It'll display at the top. So you can edit the particular fields and then click on the checkbox, right, to do the update on the server. Also, you can delete a record, right? You can click on the X button and it'll remove that particular record. Or you can create brand new records. You can type fields at the top and press the plus, and it'll do an insert into the database. And down below, you can select how many records you want to see per page. Right, and it'll calculate how many pages there are. It'll create a button for each one of these, or you can go back and forwards one page at a time. So what we'll have folks do is that if they want, they can work on whatever page they worked on in the previous sprint. So if you worked on the the summary view for services, then you're welcome to keep working on that, right? So because you might have already gotten started with the controllers, the data model, the JPA, all that. So you're welcome to do that. And we'll give you a choice to choose what particular enhancement you want to do, right? Do you want to add CRUD? Do you want to add filtering? Do you want to add pagination? It's up to you. Whatever it is that you want to choose. What we're going to ask you to do is that whatever you do implement, right, you're going to have to add structural testing to these, right? So what we talked about on Tuesday, right? The theory behind this is that we want to make sure that we have coverage, code coverage on all the source code that you write, right? So we're going to start low. We're going to start low with an 80% coverage. And what we're going to do is that every sprint, we're going to add that up, right? We're going to bring it up to 85, 90, 95, and see if we can reach that, right? Probably won't hit 100, but we're going to strive to hit that, right? Although probably what we're going to cover today, you should be able to have a pretty high coverage. So I'm optimistic. So whatever it is that you choose to work on, whether it's pagination or filtering or CRUD, you'll have to add structural testing to this, right? And you're going to have to report what your code coverage was, right? So you'll say, I got so much % coverage on, share those reports with the TAs, right? So that's for the if you choose to work on the summary view. If instead you had worked on a details view last sprint or so, the details view again is just a form. It just shows one particular record. Again, you can choose to work on the CRUD on that particular page, right? And let's see what it looks like. So this is slightly different from what you might have implemented a couple of sprints ago. I think you just had implemented a read-only version of this, right? Where you had a drop-down and you could choose a particular record and it fetched from the server and displayed it. So today, what this sprint is going to be about is adding CRUD capability, right? Being able to delete that particular record, being able to search based on criteria that you type in here, be able to create a brand new record, or if you retrieve the record, you can update it, so you can type in new values for the fields and then update it to the server. So for so again, if you choose the CRUD, right, to create, update, and delete, you'll need to create unit tests that go along with it, right, that have a specific level of code coverage. Okay. So you can choose that, or you can choose, what was the other one? The search requirements, right? You can do the search, the search magnifying glass. Yes.
So these unit tests will need like mocking, right?
Yes, we'll need mocking, right? Because so last time we were testing just static algorithms, right? That had all sorts of loops and all sorts of if statements and whatnot. And this time, right, we'll have that plus